Ollie was walking to the coffee shop. He was coming from the Hopkins Library, where he'd met a friend, and walking the opposite way down the sidewalk. Toward him was a small black cat. Ollie looked at the cat and looked it right in the eyes, and the cat looked right back at Ollie. The cat gave a little nod, and there was a strange sparkle, a little iridescence in the cat's eyes that made Ollie pause. As they got a little bit closer to where the point, they're right passing each other, I said, "Hello, cat." And the cat said, "Hello, Ollie." Ollie started and turned. Said, "Sorry, I didn't... Do we know each other?" Said, "Oh, I know a lot of things about a lot of things, but I don't think you know me." And with that, the cat trotted off and jumped up in a tree and vanished. That was weird, Ollie thought, but cats are mysterious and flighty. Be still now. But be still. I don't need the apology, I need the behavior to change. So he didn't think much of it, and he kept walking. A little further along, there was a squirrel running down the tree. And it stopped and looked right at Ollie and said, "Hey, what's up, man?" And then it ran off. Now, obviously, there are talking animals, Ollie being one of them, but most animals in Ollie's city anyway don't talk. So to have a talking cat and a talking squirrel in that quick succession was odd, and it struck Ollie as odd. What struck Ollie even more as odd was the tree seemed to manifest a face and also greet Ollie. "Hello, nice to see you." I said, "Nice to see you too, I guess. Sorry, have we met?" "It's not that I'm aware of, no." Have you always been a talking tree?" "I don't rightly know, can't rightly say. I know I'm a talking tree right now, but I cannot for the life of me tell you how long I've been a talking tree. Could be just now, could be always." "Sorry, I know that might not be a very useful answer." Ollie tried a few more lines of questioning, but the tree did not seem to be very informed. It seemed intelligent enough, but it really didn't seem to know anything before the conversations that happened before the conversation started. Which was odd, because you think of a tree as being a long-lived thing that would observe, but no. So I said goodbye and left. The trend was beginning to worry Ollie, or annoy him anyway, when he stopped to look for a minute at a random parking cone that was left alongside the trail he was walking, and it too manifested a face and started talking. It was also rather dim, like the tree. It more or less knew that it was talking now, and didn't really have much to say about anything else. I tried to quiz it. Like, "What color are you?" And the cone said, "I seem to be orange and white." "And what are you made out of?" "Some sort of plastic, I suppose." "Why are you on the trail?" "Why are you on the trail?" "I don't know." It was not a fruitful conversation. So again, Ollie said his goodbyes politely and left. More and more things along the walk insisted on talking to Ollie. It felt like he would look at something and would grow a mouth and start talking, which was kind of annoying. He resolved to look up at the clouds and sky, and those, thankfully, did not sprout features and start a conversation. That would have been upsetting. A mouth on the sky would be huge. He did bump into a few things that he then looked at and then tried to start a conversation with him. And again, that wouldn't have been so bad if the conversations weren't so vapid and empty of content. He got to the coffee shop and was relieved to talk to a person who was just a person, and so they were used to being able to talk. I mentioned the weirdness to the barista there. I said, I hadn't really noticed that. I didn't really have anything that isn't supposed to talk to me today. It might be a just you thing, Ollie. I said, yeah, I don't know. Well, let me know if things start talking to you. No one's asking me to solve it, but I feel like it needs solving. Sure, yeah, no worries. Well, here's your coffee. And he handed Ollie the coffee. Well, I took it out. There's some seating outside. And sat down. And he really didn't want to look at it. He tried to drink it without looking at it, because when he slipped up and looked at it, his coffee, too, sprouted a mouth and started talking. And then Ollie felt really weird keeping on drinking it. So Ollie put his coffee down and started to think. He realized that it had all started with the cat. So he was determined to see if the cat knew something, because the cat, unlike all of the traffic cones and parking bollards and coffee cups, it seemed to have some actual information. It knew his name and had weird cryptic things to say. So Ollie went back up toward the library to see if he could find the cat. Ollie got back up there and tried to mostly ignore her. This time he didn't try to stare at the sky. He just, whenever something started talking to him, he just didn't pay it any attention. He got back to where he'd seen the cat last, in the tree that it jumped into. He looked around. He started to attack with it and tried yelling. He said, "Cat, mysterious cat. Excuse me, are you still here? I have an important question." And Ollie had stopped, seen a friend who was a pet owner, and he'd gotten some treats from that pet owner. I've got some little tuna fish bits as well, if that's any inducement. At the mention of tuna fish bits, a little black face popped out from behind a bush. It was next to the tree. Tuna fish. Interesting. So you seek to bribe me for information, I suppose. I said, well, if that's what gets me the information, I suppose. Is that what you want? I rather enjoy you trying to do whatever I want, but I will take your tuna fish treats, and I will entertain your question, and I will decide after I hear the question if I intend to answer it. Well, that's the best deal I'm getting, said Ollie. So he held out the tuna fish treats. And the cat came over and nibbled them from Ollie's arm. I said, what's the deal with all the talking stuff? I said, whatever do you mean? I mean, you're a talking cat, and you seem to know what you're talking about. But ever since I saw you, everything keeps talking to me. Inanimate objects, other animals. And they're all, well, they're about as good conversationalists as you expect a tree or a traffic cone to be. They don't seem to have anything to say or to know anything about anything. And I think something's weird afoot, and I think you either know what's going on or you're behind it. Well, that's very astute of you. And I'll confess, you're right. I do know what's going on. And I am behind it. The cat gave Ollie a wink. So, what's your deal? I said, I am simply and exactly what I appear to be. With that, there was another sparkle in the cat's eye, like before. I'm a magical cat, of course. Ollie tried to look at a thing to see if the cat had lifted its spell or whatever was going on. He stared hard at the nearest tree, and it did exactly nothing. He picked up a rock and looked at it, and it mercifully did not attempt to start a conversation. Ollie turned back to the cat. It was disappearing into a bush. He said, "Wait. Wait. Can you really talk? Or was that part of the illusion?" And the cat, as cats are wont to do, refused to answer and disappeared into the bush. And that was the case of Ollie and the magical cat.